say, kids, what time is it?
Oh, okay. 5
Look.
weeks left.
Restore the roar, Edson. Look, I put on my Lions shirt.
Is that, yeah, oh, what?
It's a
yeah.
Megatron. Charles Johnson.
Well, we knew sooner or later they get the win, and it's kind of fitting as I thought about it, because it's like Minnesota's that team that can beat the best team in the league and can lose to the worst. They literally just beat Green Bay like 2 weeks ago.
And now all but one of their games has come down to the last play.
It's like, wow. Like, so it almost made sense. I should have picked Detroit. It would have made sense.
I was kind of thinking it. Remember, we did discuss it last week.
I know, we
this
talked
might
about
be the
how-
1 week, right?
Yeah, we wouldn't be shocked. Yeah, I thought it was going to be the Bears the week before that, but
The
on
Thanksgiving, yeah.
and they actually did come close, but so geez,
Close, but no cigar. So we both took it on the chin a little bit this week, but
yeah, I know.
you went 8-6, I went 7-7. So at least we didn't go below 500. But
Yeah.
After last week, I was all excited. I did good last week. And,
We're back on the saddle.
yeah, but the best laid plans. So yeah,
I mean, it looked like there were so many like so obvious matchups, and it almost looked like a boring week for not for all of them, for a lot of them, and it's like, but no, it didn't turn out that
if there's
way.
one thing that we've learned as we've gone along here, like we were both doing great at the beginning, is
Yeah.
that there are no sure things in the NFL this year. It's weird. It's just like it's almost like go against your instincts
Yeah,
now because it seems like the games are going the other way.
yeah. I kept wondering if like my memory just faded in, like this was like this every year, but I think this year goes a little bit further, because I even heard other people talking. Oh yeah, this one's worse than or more unusual than previous years.
Very,
So,
very
okay.
unpredictable. Yeah, and nobody's getting. All right, well, I'll take that back. There's a couple teams that have gone on a run, and we'll
Yep.
get to that. But
Yeah,
for the most part, it's just a lot of these teams are like win 1, lose 1, win 2, lose 1. Like you just can't.
up and down.
And up and down, and in games they're supposed to win, they don't. In games they're not supposed to win, they do. And
Then they do.
right, it's just really messed up. But this week, this is probably one of the biggest bye weeks so far, because 3 of the 4 teams are interesting. It's the Colts, Miami, the Patriots, and the Eagles all have the week off. So we can't talk about
That's a lot.
the Dolphins and the Patriots this week. So let's talk about the Dolphins and the Patriots right now.
I just keep like letting it go. Like, oh, maybe I'll pay attention if they kind of get into closer to the. But it's like, how did you? They 1-7, and then it's like, give me this crap now. Now you're giving me hope again. It's like, what the heck? Why couldn't you have won a couple of those early games? Then you'd be in the mix. It's like, I mean, technically they are in the mix, but still, they got to leapfrog a lot of. And the Patriots. I mean, what can you say? It's like. I assume I can't get into his mind, but I assume Belichick went and saw, okay, Jonathan Taylor ran 300 yards against the Bills. We're just going to run all the time.
Well, it was like the wind was blowing 50, 60 miles an hour sideways. I mean, you saw one of Nick Folk's kicks. He kicked it far left, and it curved and almost missed to the right.
Right. Which was smart of him, because then I forgot who the Bills kicker didn't compensate enough.
Yeah.
And he missed it.
He missed it. And Skip Bayless was, ripping on Mac Jones as garbage. Bill Belichick thought he was cute and got away with one by not exposing Mac Jones. No, Skip Bayless is a moron. How is this guy on TV? Well, he's watched football for how long, and he still has no clue what he's talking about? That's amazing to me. No. Bill Belichick is a genius, and he looked at the weather. And like you said, he's like, clearly, if Damian Harris didn't do what he did, then he probably would have thrown the ball more.
Right.
But he didn't have to because the Buffalo couldn't stop him. And why was Buffalo in nickel defense for most of the first half?
I don't understand why they just kept doing it over. It's like, what are you going to do?
Mac Jones threw one pass in the first half. And you have a pass defense in there? What are you doing? What are you doing?
At this, I mean, I still kept seeing a safety back. I was like, why aren't you bringing your safeties up? So what? If a receiver gets by, you have someone covering. It's like, and you're not gonna throw deep balls here. So what are you doing? You need run support. I don't get it.
It was weird. It was weird. I mean, the fact that they kept thinking he was going to throw the ball. I mean, what were they thinking? Okay, they just ran it 13 times in a row. This is the play.
This is the one, and this is the one.
And then okay, that wasn't. Yeah, right. They just kept doubling
when you get
down.
to 40, it's
this
like,
is the
okay.
One. Yeah. When have you ever seen, what was he, 2 for 3 for 19 yards? Where have you ever seen?
I've never heard of it.
Quarterback stats, not in a relief or an injury fill-in role where that's the game total. 2 passes, 2 completions on 3 attempts for 19 yards. That was bizarre.
But there was no need to do that because they kept running, chunks 6-7 yards every time. If it wasn't longer, I mean, it's like I know he put in six offensive linemen on top of the tight ends and stuff, but
that was just daring them. We dare you to
stop us. Yeah,
and they couldn't. It was insane. I felt like I was watching a high school game when they just run on every play.
True. That's how it looked like it.
It was weird. It was weird. And on the other side, Josh Allen he's still struggling. This whole team is struggling. They're 7-5 now. And we'll get to the Bills when we get to the Bills, but wow. It's just incredible that New England has blown right by him on a 7-game winning streak.
The number 1 seed in the AFC.
And
I never thought I'd be able to say that. And it's still week 13, 14.
14.
Like, so it's not like they did it like at the end of the year. There's still 5 more weeks to go.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Miami, 6-game winning streak. They look pretty good.
Yeah, and they have the Jets. They have a chance to. Oh no, not this week. Obviously, they're on a bye.
They're on a bye.
I think their next game is the
Jets. The Jets. Yep.
They actually have a chance to get the 500.
Yeah,
they do.
Chance
to get. Wow.
So and then,
I think I would take 500 back when they were 1-7.
Yeah, you think? You probably would have taken it before the season started, thinking, okay, I'll take a 500 season.
Yeah, there you go.
So you got to admire that they love their coaching staff. The players are all bought in. They have not quit.
Definitely not.
And the Colts are doing the Colts thing. Again, another team that started very slowly, but now
they're
red hot.
That'll be a. I mean, I know it'll be next week, but that'll be probably the game of that week, the Patriots and the Colts.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we still have a whole week of games before to get to that.
We do. And Eagles on a bye week, whatever. You screwed me by winning in New York, so.
Yeah, they win in New York, and then they blow the Giant one.
Right.
It's like, how about winning both games, and then you be in contention again? But, I don't know.
Oh, well.
I still can't buy in on the Eagles. So.
No, middling teams are going to be middling teams. And the other middling team in Pennsylvania kicked us off this week, Thursday night.
Yep.
8:15 on Prime Video and NFL Network and the Fox Network. The 6-5-1 Pittsburgh Steelers travel up to Minnesota to play this. They got to feel shame, the Vikings.
Yeah. And I don't think they're going to have Cook this week because it's a short week and he's injured. Is Thielen even going to play?
Thielen got hurt against Detroit, right?
Wow. I mean, their offense is going to be shorthanded. I don't know. I'm thinking it's like if the Steelers had lost last week, I keep going back and forth on this. I know it's in Minnesota, and it's like, but the Steelers have found their offense. I mean, that was like their like traditional, like how you see them as playing offense with Big Ben like 10 years ago. That was really good. Against Baltimore. I don't know what happened to Baltimore, but that was a great game that they won. I'm trying to struggle here. I'll go with the Steelers.
Yeah. I'm in the same struggles.
I don't know.
Minnesota's always tough at home, but I know they're going to be playing that shorthanded. I am not so sure that's going to work out for them. I'm just trying to see if Thielen is definitely been named out yet, but it's again, we picked these so early in the week. So I'm going to go on the assumption that Thielen and Cook are not playing, which leaves him with Jefferson and a couple of spare parts. And
who's great, but you have Minka Fitzpatrick back there, so they could.
He is great, Kirk Cousins. I don't know. Again, I mean, this will probably. Pittsburgh's been doing this too. This is going to come down to the end. It's probably going to come down to that final drive, and could go overtime. And who knows? The Steelers could end up with a 6-5-2 at the end of this. But
maybe that's true.
I'm going to go. I'm also going to go with the Steelers on the road for the simple fact that their defense woke up last week. Their defense. T.J. Watt had 3.5 sacks. Like it was a vintage defensive performance against Washington. They actually stole the. I said Washington. I meant Baltimore. They stole the Dolphins' cover 0. It was working. Yeah.
Well, it's working.
I think every team has played cover 0 now against Baltimore since Miami drafted up that blueprint against them defensively.
Hey, why not? Let's just see if you can.
And
if it works.
The Ravens have struggled mightily offensively ever since. So. Yeah. So, yep. All right. We'll both take the Steelers on the road and cross our fingers and see what happens.
Now they're in the mix too. 6-5. They're right there, like just barely on the outside, I guess.
Yeah, 8th or 9th seed now. Yep.
Wow.
Moving to Sunday, 1:00 on Fox. The 8-4 Dallas Cowboys travel to Washington. That's where I got the Washington to play the now 500 6-6 football team.
Yeah, and Dallas is a perfect example of what you were just saying about an up and down, win one, lose one. And Washington is an example of kind of like they've gone on a kind of quite a streak. I mean, not as in a row, but after that really bad start, they're back to 500 now, and I don't know how they're doing it. I mean, their defense is kind of just finally showing up, and Heineke just goes out there and just makes play. Probably should have thrown 2 interceptions last week, and whatever. I'll just keep doing it. And I'm gonna go with Dallas here just simply because I believe they have more talent, but it would not be a shocker that if Washington would win this. This is like one of those kind of, this is one of those divisional games that could go either way, where in the East I've seen like a really bad team beat a really good team because it's the NFC East. But let's see if the Cowboys can. This is going to be a big thing. Probably their biggest game so far, because if Washington wins, they're like one game out.
Mm-hmm.
And they have another meeting with them in a couple weeks. And if Dallas wins, they pretty much kind of like have the division because they'd be up 3 with like 4 games left. So it's a big, from one side to the other. Jeez.
No, it really is. And this is finally, it's been a long time since we've had NFC East games that felt like important, right?
Yeah.
Because either everybody's bad or there's one team that runs away with
there's one team that runs away with it.
12 years or so.
Yeah.
Dallas is starting to come back to earth. They looked pretty flawed against the Saints. I mean,
they did.
If it wasn't Taysom Hill playing quarterback and he didn't have, and Kamara was there, different result, I think, because they struggled all the way till the fourth quarter, and then Taysom Hill started turning the ball over. Yeah, Dallas just looks discombobulated.
Yeah. Their defense looks better than their offense right now.
And their defense looks better than their offense. Meanwhile, like you said, Washington's getting on a bit of a roll, and Heineke plays so reckless. He's just really reminds me of Brett Favre.
Yeah.
And their schedule, you're right, their schedule is weird, Washington's. So this week, Dallas at home. Next week at Philadelphia. Following week at Dallas. And the week after that, Philadelphia at home. But have you ever seen a schedule where you get, so it's Dallas, Philly, Dallas, Philly? Have you ever seen that before?
No, I haven't seen that before.
That is weird.
Teams, no.
That is really weird. So you're right. This is a coin flip for me, but I think Washington at home, they're feeling it. Dallas has that objects in the rearview mirror maybe closer than they appear thing going on right now.
That's a good way of putting it.
I'm going to take Washington at home.
It would certainly make the rest of the year a lot more interesting if Washington won.
Yeah, we'll find out in a couple of days. Next up, the game everyone's been clamoring for at 1:00 on CBS. The 2-10 Jacksonville Jaguars visit the 8-4 Tennessee Titans, who had a week off.
I mean, I probably shouldn't take this as light because you never know, but I mean, the Jaguars didn't even show up at all after they showed up the last couple weeks, I guess, and I think they've officially kind of given up from what they did. And the Titans, the bye week, maybe they got a couple people healthy. I know they're still missing Henry, but I don't think they're going to need Henry to beat the Jaguars.
No, they can probably just go pick up a guy off the street named Henry, throw a jersey on him, and let him run the ball.
There you go.
I agree with you. I think this is a good game to come off a bye week.
Yeah.
Get through. I don't know if their receivers should be semi-healthy at least.
Yeah.
AJ Brown was all beat up, and Julio Jones. How many? I mean, what's he played this year? 2 total games. Plays a quarter here, 2 quarters there. He never. I don't think he's played a full game. It's weird.
They should have known what that was to be expected.
Yeah. So I'm with you though. I think Tennessee at home all the way, pretty easily. So next up, 1:00 on Fox. The victorious Seattle Seahawks at 4-8 travel up to Houston to take on the 2-10 Texans.
Yeah, and Houston might be another one of those teams that's kind of given up. They didn't really do well last week. I'm trying to think I can't even remember much of that game, but
the Colts smoked them.
It was a shutout, right?
Yeah.
Like I said, they didn't show up.
Yeah, Tyrod Taylor got benched. They had to bring in Mills. Right.
Yeah, that was one of those really sad games, but to be expected.
Yeah.
and I'm going to pick Seattle, and if they win, we're not gonna know anything kind of new about them. But their offense did seem to wake up last week against San Francisco, which surprised me. I mean, that San Francisco struggled against them. Both their offense and their defense. I guess once Russell Wilson started to get going, the kind of might have inspired their defense to also get better. So Seattle, I think here, no brainer.
Yeah, I think Russell Wilson's finger, we kept saying, he might have come back too soon. I think it finally felt good for him because he looked different last week. He looked like Russ Wilson. He didn't look like Geno Smith.
He looked worse than Geno Smith.
He looked worse than Geno Smith, right. Houston, I agree with you. I think they're done. Tyrod Taylor's Tyrod Taylor. He is what he is, and he's a backup quarterback. And Davis Mills.
And he needs a lot of help. Yeah.
Yeah, Davis Mills, you're a young guy, so, you don't know what you have there. Not a lot around them. It's a long season. I think they're tired. I think they're done. I think Seattle goes in there and wins. So next up, 1:00, CBS. The 6-6 Vegas Raiders travel to Kansas City to take on the 8-4 Chiefs.
Here's another interesting division game. Raiders must have been disappointed last week losing that game to watch. I mean, obviously, and their offense was kind of devastated. Well, it was COVID, but where you have one receiver out there,
Hunter Renfrow, who caught a billion balls.
Yeah, and they still made it very close, which is good for them, but lost the game, and now they're going to Kansas City. And Kansas City, I still kind of don't know. I mean, they're another team like the Cowboys whose defense is playing better than their offense. I mean, let's not get fooled about their win against Denver. Their offense still didn't do that much in that game. It was more like the defense that won that game. So I don't know what to expect of them. They're still having their offensive problems, but I think they'll do enough to win, but wouldn't be surprised if the Raiders won. But I'm going to go with the Chiefs.
Yeah. Earlier in the year when these two teams got together, I really thought Vegas was going to take it to them in Vegas, especially where the two teams were at the time. The Chiefs were really struggling. They looked totally lost, turning the ball over, sloppy football, and the Raiders were on cruise control. And this is around the time the Chucky stuff started, I think, right?
Yep.
Right around that time. Fast forward, here we are, week 14. I don't know. I mean, the Raiders are capable. I mean, if he's got Edwards and he's got the tight end, I can't. His name's on the tip of my tongue. The best player, Waller.
Yeah.
Waller.
I was going to say Warner, but it's Waller.
Waller. Yeah. You never know, but it's in Arrowhead. The Chiefs are. you're right. The Chiefs still don't look quite right on offense, and I think a lot of that is teams are taking Tyreek Hill away. So, and there we all know you're not going to be scared of Pringle or Hardman. He could throw it to those guys all day long. You're not going to be afraid of that. So it might be close, but I also think because it's in Arrowhead, the Chiefs are going to get the advantage. Chiefs win.
Yeah, all those coaches must be watching you, because I remember you saying, why don't teams take Tyreek Hill out?
Why did it take the league 2 years to figure out how to? The guy was always open. I'm like, hello. The other receivers kind of suck on this team. Just covered Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. Come on.
Yeah, Kelce.
Next up, what could be the game of the week? The 5-7 New Orleans Saints travel to New York to take on the 3-9 Jets. 1:00 CBS.
Who knows? It might be. I mean, as you mentioned before, the Saints did well shorthanded against the Cowboys, and the Jets were very competitive early on.
Kicking problems, as you texted me.
Yeah. It's like they get rid of their kicker, and the new kicker goes on to miss the first 2 extra points, and then they finally try for the 2 points and still blow that, and it's like
that's where the game got away. It was close,
and then they got away. Yeah, it was 3 touchdowns to 3 touchdowns, and then the Jets were down by 3 and kind of had to become more desperate as the game went on, and then it got away from them. It's like, I mean, it's at home. I give them a good chance. For some reason, I'm going to go with the Saints. I think the Saints will do well here because, they're well coached, and as you mentioned, I thought they played a really good game against the Cowboys with what they had. So I don't think they're going to give up.
Yeah, I mean, there's always that factor. Saints outside on the road.
Yep.
They're kind of different, but they've been playing well outside on the road this year. They don't look much different whether they're home or not. They're competitive. The Jets, boy, I don't know what to think of the Jets. I just don't. I mean, I'm still not sold on Zach Wilson. He still, to me, when I was looking into that game, when he goes and sits down on the bench, looks scared. In his eyes, he doesn't look comfortable to me. I don't know, like it's too much for him, and he's struggling to stay afloat. That's I don't know. It's in his eyes. He just doesn't look settled or confident to me. So on the other side, you have a quarterback in Taysom Hill who's a fraction of the talent that Zach Wilson has, but that guy's he's got enough confidence for the both of them, and then some.
He does have a lot, yeah.
So I just have a feeling Sean Payton, he's going to design some goofy plays around Hill. They're going to do whatever they need to do to get a win here, and they're going to get it. Because the Jets, when it's all said and done in the fourth quarter, ineptitude rises to the top with the Jets.
Yeah, it seems like that.
Yeah, they're just not a good team, and I'm sorry I even put faith in them last week. It was a huge mistake. So, Saints on the road. Next up.
And Taysom Hill, he was even playing hurt against the Jets. That didn't really slow him down that
one
much.
Play he flipped over in the air. He's crazy. Wow. And he gets up and he's like, ah. He's not good. He's Tim Tebow. But
I mean, he can pass a little bit better than him, but
a little bit.
But yeah, you're right. It's just like that.
Yeah. Next up, the second best game of the week.
Jeez.
The 5-7 Atlanta Falcons traveled to Carolina to take on the 5-7 Panthers. 1:00.
This is another one I can't make heads or tails about because it's a division game, and sometimes Atlanta puts up these big numbers on offense. Sometimes they get shut out, and Carolina, it's like, again, Christian McCaffrey's out again with injury. What else is new?
And they fired their offensive coordinator.
Right. I know. Yeah, they just had the bye week and they fired their offensive coordinator. So was that the issue, or they just kind of had to do something because just to show they had to do something? I mean, it's probably a mistake, but I'm going to go with Carolina here just because of the home thing. But again, both of these teams, I have no read on them.
Yeah, I don't know. Cam Newton came back and played well for about 5 quarters.
5 minutes.
Yeah, 5 minutes.
No, I was just kidding.
I give him 5 quarters. He looked okay in the first, whatever he played in that first game when they stuck him in once in a while.
Right.
And then the first game back that he started, he had 3 touchdowns and he looked pretty good. Last week, looked like New England Patriots Cam Newton.
Yep.
The Falcons, I think, are capable of putting up some points. And I just think are slightly. I think I give them the edge overall as a slightly better team.
Yep.
They're on the road, which could be problematic for them, but at the same time, I just think they're more dynamic, and I think that they will score more points than Carolina in the end. So I'm going to give the edge to the Falcons and take them on the road.
Yep.
All right. Now that we've gotten the 2 best games of the week over with, we're stuck with one of the crappier ones. The 8-4 Ravens travel to Cleveland to take on the 6-6 Browns at 1:00 on CBS.
And it's another game I'm struggling with because it's like Baltimore's offense. I couldn't believe it. I mean, seeing him these last few weeks, I could see what my eyes were telling me, but like I didn't know how bad it was. They were showing this. The last 4 games, their offense have scored an average of 1 touchdown per game. You cannot win. I mean, how they're getting away with it when they're not, because they're lost a couple of games. But certainly in the playoffs, it's going to be a big problem for them. I don't get it. It's like I know Jackson's dynamic, and they have a great running game. They have great coaching, like we've said, but something's wrong. They can't get in the end zone. They can't score points. And now they lost probably, what is that like their best defensive guy, Marlon Humphreys. Now I think he's out for the year. That's going to be a problem for them on defense. And after all that, I'm still picking them.
Wow.
Against Cleveland, only because it's like something. I keep thinking it's almost like it's that mentality that you mentioned about Buffalo. It's like New England's got to pass sometime. Is this? It's like, so I'm thinking Baltimore's got to do something. It's like with all that talent, I'm still picking them. I think it's going to be maybe like a 2-point game, but I'm still picking them to win because Cleveland's got their big injury problems. But again, it's another. I keep repeating myself. It's another like I wouldn't be shocked if the other team won, if Cleveland won.
Well, let's go back to the first time these two played each other in Baltimore.
Yep.
Very low scoring game. Nobody could really move the ball at all. At Mayfield, actually, I don't understand why Cleveland was throwing the ball as much as they were. When they had Nick Chubb back and they had their running game, but for whatever reason they decided to try to air it out, which was a mistake. With Baker Mayfield, who's been scotch taped together for half the season, that was really weird. The statistics you're giving me about Baltimore sound really familiar to me. They sound like the Pittsburgh Steelers at the beginning of the year, who could only score, if they were lucky, a touchdown a game, and they were losing all their games, right? Your team did it. Your team drew the blueprint.
Yep.
Cover 0. You put 7 guys on the defensive line. They don't have enough guys to block. And if you can keep, and the Steelers figured part of that out last year and the year before. They've always done well against Jackson and Pittsburgh because they hem him in. If he gets the outside corner with his speed and his moves, he's gone. So the Steelers would constantly box him in and keep him in the middle of the field. And as long as you have a spy in the middle of the field who's a good open field tackler, he's kind of out of options, right? And the Steelers did that last week with him. They were getting the pressure from Highsmith and Watt. Watt, crazy.
Yeah.
And Cam Hayward was crashing through the middle. But they picked up this guy Adams off the Saints. Cut him last week off the waiver wire. and there was a couple plays we were pointing it out. We were watching the game. Adams held his spot in the middle of the field and did not move. And when Jackson tried to, he's looking, Adams was standing there. And he didn't know which way to go. And Adams never bit on a fake. He just stood there in his lane. And once he took that lane away and Jackson was trying to figure out what to do, they'd catch him from behind or catch him from the side. It was cover 0. I mean, you're exposing your secondary when you do that. There's no safety to roll over. But it's worked 4 weeks in a row. John Harbaugh's a great coach. Will he figure it out this week against the Browns?
I know. That's the other thing. Yep.
The Browns have a really good defense. And the Browns have a really good pass rush. That's why I'm taking Cleveland at home to take care of business. And I thought at the very beginning of the year that these two teams would split anyway. I don't think you'll see a sweep. So,
not surprised. And one more message to Baltimore. The game on the line, I actually was shocked but agreed with the 2-point conversion there, because I did see that they were kind of the momentum was completely gone, and they kind of had to finish it off. But if you're going to design a play that way, how about making sure somebody tries to slow down Watt? Why are you leaving him just like wide open to the? It's like because I think that pass was bad because Watt was in his face. I mean, there would have been. I think they would have converted if he hadn't done that. And it's like, how about just putting somebody on him?
Watt hit Lamar 6 times, sacked him 3.5. He did not want to get hit by Watt again, and you could see he rushed that throw.
Oh yeah,
Andrews was wide open. That's the 2 points, and they win the game. He threw the ball way too quick. He had another second or two before Watt would get to him, but he panicked. It was clear he threw it too soon. Whatever. I mean, let me ask you this: if the Bengals won their game earlier in the day, does John Harbaugh do that, or does he play for overtime?
That's an interesting.
Do you think he said, you know what? Right. Even if we lose, we still got a 2-game cushion here?
That's a great point. I hadn't even thought of that. It might have been it. I was purely just thinking, like, clearly they're kind of like on their last dregs of it,
and that could have been part of it too. Make it,
and they suffered the injury on defense, and they didn't think they would be able to stop them if they didn't get the ball first, or even if they did get the ball first. But yeah, that's interesting. If he might have thought of that.
In his mind, he might think, if we win this, we got a 3-game lead. It's pretty much lights out. If we lose, we still got a 2-game lead. We still got time.
Yeah. Yep.
Maybe.
But now it's closing in. What if they lose this one?
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, he's a gambler.
Yeah.
Got to give him credit.
I liked it. I liked it.
I liked it too. It's one of those decisions that if he makes it, he's a genius. And of course, it didn't work out, so everybody has to question it. So, just hindsight being what it is and whatnot.
I don't question the call at all. I question the execution, but not the call.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Why they didn't use a back to chip Watt is beyond me.
Something, yeah.
All right, moving to 4:05 on Fox. The New York Giants at 4-8 travel to L.A. to play probably a Giants home game against the Chargers.
Maybe, but the Giants haven't. I mean, they look like a team too that's kind of like giving up on, especially on offense. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with them. They can't put a game together, and the Chargers, like they love to tease you. It's like the first 6 weeks or so they looked unbeatable. Then they kind of like look like they're going to be fade away, and they just lure you into thinking that. And then they come up with this big, huge game against Cincinnati. Although Cincinnati had a big time comeback. And they were within like a score, like on the Chargers side of the field.
Mixon fumbled.
The fumble that got returned. If it hadn't been returned all the way, maybe it wouldn't have been a big blow. But that was it. After that, Cincinnati couldn't. But geez, that turned out to be a more interesting game than at first you thought. But I mean, against the Giants, home or not doesn't matter to me. The Chargers are going to win because I haven't seen much from the Giants at all in the last, I don't know, maybe all year, at least last 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah, I agree with you. Mike Glennon.
Well, yeah, they have a lot of injuries.
Yeah, a lot of injuries. I think there's going to be some moving parts, shall we say, in New York when this is all said and done.
Yep.
I don't know if Joe Judge survives this.
Probably not.
I mean, they gave him a lot of talent in the offseason. They tried to make this thing work for him, and here he is at 4-8. And like you said, not showing much signs of life. Saquon Barkley's been he's missing in action.
Yep.
He's not Saquon Barkley yet. And hopefully he gets back to it. I would hate to see him wash out after like 3 seasons. That would be awful.
Me too.
Not only because he's a great dynamic player and fun to watch, he's a great person. He's a good kid. By Giants home game, I just mean there'll be more red and blue in the stands than Charger blue and gold. But the Chargers look like they've figured some things out. I think they're going to put a beating down on the Giants. I think it's going to be really lopsided. So
yeah, Chargers, I mean, the only thing I've seen from the Giants is like, that Philadelphia game, which I think they should have lost, and their defense kind of won that game. But
that's it. Their defense can hold them in, but I don't know this week with the weapons
for a while. But
Herbert's got, I think Herbert's going to just put on a show.
Yep.
Next up, 4:05 on Fox. Hey, the Lions, everyone's team, everyone's favorite. Restore the roar. Restore the roar. The Lions are back. 1-10-1. Go to Denver to play the 6-6 Broncos.
They finally got their win. You saw how emotional it was that they got their win. I think they're gonna have like kind of be flat this week after that big emotional win. Going to Denver, the whole thin air again. I don't give them much of a chance. Against the Broncos. I know the Broncos don't have that great of an offense, but I think the defense will more than make up for it, and they'll score enough points to beat Detroit. This might be a blowout actually.
Yeah. It was fun for a week, but reality is going to come crashing back in a big way for Detroit for all the reasons you just said. Here's a hypothetical. The Broncos offense looks like it's being held back by one particular thing, and it's their quarterback. I mean, I like Teddy Bridgewater, but I think Teddy's just a really good backup quarterback. I lump him in with the Garoppolos and those kind of players. Like he's not a starting quarterback. Like, yes, exactly. He'll get you 6-6, right? That's what he'll do.
Yep, that's a bit.
As a starter. Ben Roethlisberger said it's his last year with the Steelers.
Oh.
But he did not say it was his last year in football. This would be a totally Broncos move, wouldn't it, to go get a aging veteran off the scrap heap and bring.
Yep, that's what they did before.
That's what they do
with Peyton Manning. Yep,
that's what they do. So wouldn't that be funny?
I guess now it wouldn't be so. It really wouldn't be shocking.
It's amazing how the Broncos can't find a quarterback.
It is. I mean, they got all the pieces everywhere else, but no quarterback. I think were they? Was that just something I made up, or were they actually trying to pull Aaron Rodgers away from Green Bay during the offseason?
They were trying to pull it. Yeah, they were. They made an offer.
Which is why, it still remains a shock, and there's some kind of magic around Belichick that he wound up with Mac Jones, because I thought for sure Denver was going to want a quarterback. Damn.
Yeah, they went on the board. And they went into the offseason thinking that Drew Lock was the guy. And Teddy beat him out. They pulled Teddy. Yep. Remember, Teddy got released by Carolina. They brought him in, and Teddy beat him out.
Yeah.
So it's just they've been putting Band-Aids on broken bones since John Elway retired. Yep. And it's just incredible. And he's part of the ownership that can't figure this out. It's unbelievable.
It's almost like he's like, well, if they get a really good one, well, I'm going to get my history with them is going to get overshadowed. So let's just keep getting crappy quarterbacks. So I'll always be the most relevant.
Wouldn't that be a riot? That's hilarious. Yeah.
Sorry.
Wow. John. Right? Nobody's breaking my records. I'll just keep bringing in these shitty quarterbacks. Aging and or draft. Put a number 1 draft tag on somebody who's a 6th rounder, and yeah. I don't know. It's bizarre. I mean, and if they continue this way and they end up 8-9, 9-8, they're going to be drafting very low, and they're not going to get in. They're going to be in the same predicament. So unless they sign a free agent or trade for Russell Wilson or do something like that, they're doomed to founder in mediocrity for a while.
Yeah, that Russell Wilson's another interesting thing. Yeah.
So, and Derek Carr's a free agent, but
wow.
We'll see. We'll see. But my point being is, until Denver fixes that issue, they will just be they'll be a 500. They're an opponent every week. They're just an opponent. They're either going to beat you or they're going to lose.
Yep.
This week they're going to win. They're going to beat the Lions at home, and there will be much rejoicing. Next, 4:25 CBS. The 6-6 San Francisco 49ers travel to Cincinnati to take the bruised Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, both these teams were very disappointing last week. Unbelievable. I was more shocked that the 49ers lost to Seattle. But that seems to be, looking at the history of that division, it seems like that's what's been happening. The Seahawks somehow have figured out a way to beat the 49ers no matter what. And I probably should have thought of that, but geez. And now they're going into Cincinnati to face a team that kind of, as you said, Bruce, that they lost they could have had that game against the Chargers, and they were kind of situated well to get to Baltimore, and now that loss was bad for them. I see these two teams kind of very similar, and I'm going to pick the Bengals at home, but not a very confident pick.
Yeah. All right, I'll start with the San Francisco-Seattle. I'm with you on that, but I understand we both picked San Francisco last week because they've been getting on a roll.
Yep.
Where Seattle, especially with Russell Wilson out there with that bad hand, looked terrible. I mean, just terrible. So who could see that one coming? But I mean, it's one of those things. You're right. Seattle always does beat the 49ers or finds a way to beat the 49ers. But I'm figuring that right now, where those two teams were at, that wasn't going to happen this time.
Too much, yeah.
Right. Then you flipped over to Cincinnati in the Chargers. Cincinnati, first of all, they spotted the Chargers like a 3-score lead right out of the gate.
That's a problem. Yeah.
Then they come charging back. Like you said, they get within 2. They're getting down into the red zone again. Mixon fumbles, goes the other way. And then the Chargers it was like the Chargers bookended that game with explosive offense and, scoring deluges on the front and back. And in the middle, let Cincinnati into the game a little bit. But it was like an Oreo game where Cincinnati had the middle of the game. Very disappointing for a team that it's weird. Them and the Browns keep wanting to assert themselves as the new kid on the block in the North. It's been the Steelers and the Ravens beating up on these two orange teams forever. And they beat Pittsburgh the week before, and Joe Burrow saying, the Steelers are just another opponent. We got loftier goals. We got to, and then they go out and lay an egg against a team that traveled from the West Coast.
Might have been overlooking them because the Chargers weren't kind of doing that well at the time. So
I just think the Bengals have loftier goals, but they still don't know how to attain those loftier goals, how to keep that intensity up week after week.
Yep.
They got up to play the Steelers. They plowed the Steelers. And then they kind of, I think you're right. It's a natural tendency, I think, to let down, especially when you beat a team 41-3, right?
Yep.
Or Steelers got 10, but it was a last-minute garbage touchdown. It doesn't count. It was 41-3. Then they got a non-divisional opponent come in. I think you're right. They just they couldn't quite get it back until they were down by 3 scores and said, "Holy crap, we better do something here." And there's so much talent on that team. That said, I think the Bengals at home will put some points on the board, more than San Francisco can handle and or respond to. So I'll take Cincinnati at home because if they lose this one, they know they're in deep shit.
Yeah, really.
I mean, every team in that division's over 500. So there's no margin for error anymore. It's getting
and just like when you said Burrow saying, that comment about like, oh, it's just another team. Well, but was it? I think he was saying that because it was the right thing to say, but I think it was a big deal to them to do. And then once they had a sense of a big accomplishment beating the Steelers in that way, and maybe that kind of like had a letdown.
I think that's a great point. I mean, you saw the whole team dancing and celebrating. And Mixon was flexing.
So it was a big deal. You don't want to say that though.
Right. They said the right things, but they did not demonstrate it the following week.
Yeah.
So still lessons to be learned over there, but they're still a great story. I mean, 7-5 at this point in time. I mean, I think a lot of us had them winning 5 games total this year.
Right.
So. All right, next up, 4:25 p.m. Eastern time, the 7-5 Buffalo Bills trek down to the heat and humidity of Tampa Bay to play the 9-3 Tampa Bay Bucks.
Yeah, can anyone have foreseen that drop where Buffalo was playing, where everybody had already slotted them in as the number 1 seed in the AFC, and now, if they lose this game, they could be out of the playoffs?
Yeah.
I mean, think about this.
Yeah.
They got this game, and then they have New England again. What if they lost both those games? I mean, that will put them like at 500, or
yeah,
they're still,
it would put them at 500,
and maybe out of the playoffs completely. What an amazing thing! It's like unbelievable. Remember when they were like beating the Chiefs and the Titans and the, I don't know, like all like some like was it? I forgot who. There was like 3 weeks in a row that they beat like a big.
They beat the Packers.
Packers. That's what I was trying to think of. Packers. Wow.
Oh no, I'm sorry. That was preseason. Was it preseason?
Okay.
Yeah, it was. I'm sorry. I'm scrolling their schedule now. They beat
when
the Chiefs.
it wasn't like a big. it wasn't. You're right. It was actually the Titans who beat a lot of big name.
Yeah, the Titans went on a big run.
But Buffalo was like wiping people off the board. Like it was like 45-0. It was like 30. It's like beating by a large margin. Everybody's like, oh yeah, they're the number 1 seed, blah blah blah. And it's like this. Now we have this, where they might like they're going to be like just fighting for a playoff spot at this point, because I have the Bucks beating them here. Leonard Fournette, we've talked about Leonard Fournette, how great he's doing behind that Tampa Bay offensive line, and guess what? That's what Buffalo was vulnerable to last week and the week before. So I think that Tampa Bay is going to mix the run with a pass, and of course Tom Brady very well here, and I think they're going to beat Buffalo. I think Buffalo's going to lose another one.
I couldn't agree more. I think what we're seeing, and by the way, I got a couple of those blowouts. So they lost to Pittsburgh in the opener. Then they smoked Miami 35-0.
Yeah.
Washington 43-21. Houston 40-0. The Chiefs 38-20.
Yeah, that was.
And then Miami again 26-11.
Yeah.
Then they started struggling. They beat the Saints 31-6, but in there was a lot of losses. So.
Yeah.
And you're right. They've got Tampa Bay, then they have Carolina, then the Patriots again. Then they finish up with Atlanta and the Jets. So,
yeah, they kind of just gotta stay above water, but still.
Yeah. So, we saw them put a nickel defense in to try to stop the run against New England when New England didn't throw at all, and now you're gonna have Tom Brady at home with all his weapons except Antonio Brown,
right?
Which is just a bizarre story, by the way.
Yeah.
What a weirdo. I mean, he is a weirdo. Yeah. I can't wait to see what they try to do with that nickel defense this week. I bet they guess wrong on every play. I bet they play the nickel against the run, and they play, they'll put some kind of a run blitz on or something on a pass play.
Especially with Brady, who can great at reading defenses. He can change it anytime.
Change it right at the line of scrimmage. Yeah, I think the Bills are in serious trouble here. Serious trouble. I got Tampa Bay at home too, and the Bills dropped to 7-6.
Oh wow!
Can you imagine? And you're right. I mean, I was one of the people who had them AFC champs. It's a wild and wacky season. Next up, 8:20 p.m. on NBC. Alan Chris drew the short straw. The 4-8 Bears travel to Green Bay to take on the 9-3 Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, didn't NBC just had one of those games, kind of like I forgot what it's called, where they changed it. Yeah, flex. Why couldn't they flex? They couldn't flex the Buffalo Bucks game.
They haven't done it yet. They probably should, but they haven't done it yet.
I'm shocked. No, I know they haven't. That's why I thought they probably would have. But I mean, what can you say? Chicago's kind of just. Is Justin Fields still out? Not that makes a big So their offense is having such a hard time. Their defense is barely keeping up against the Packers at home. I got to go with Green Bay.
Yeah, I mean, even if they had Justin Fields, the talent disparity on both sides of the ball are disgusting, in a way. This division, they call it the black and blue division, but it's Green Bay and everybody else. I mean, my God.
The Packer and nothing division.
There is not a team here that can even challenge they're not even going to challenge for a wild card spot. No other team in this division. Between the Vikings, the Bears, and the Lions. My God.
After the Vikings lost that game to the Lions, you're right.
Remember we were kids and all these teams were really good.
They were really good. Beating each other up. They're barely getting by to barely made it to the playoffs.
But better than that, they all played outside. In the dirt, in the mud. No, Chicago and Green Bay are the only teams left out on the dirt and mud. Detroit and Minnesota being inside, that's not right. Get them outside.
Yeah.
God, remember like all the Alex Karras gobs of mud in his face mask, and the purple people eaters, Alan Page and those guys, sitting on the sidelines in the snow. Yeah, it was awesome. Big jackets on and the breath coming out. Watch those old NFL films if you're younger than we are, and we're 150 combined. Watch some old NFL films of the Lions and the Vikings from the 60s and 70s. Oh, my God.
Wait, didn't we just say how young we were? No.
We are young.
That was a different story.
Well, it helps when you have a DeLorean that can go 88 miles an hour.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, this is going to be a nightmare. It's going to be fun to listen to Al and Chris try to keep the audience when it's 42-0 at halftime. Now, I think the Bears will actually give them a game for a while, but
for at the beginning, yeah.
At the beginning,
first half maybe.
Yeah, but out of sheer pride, and their defense is pretty good. But other than that,
yep.
All right, last up, Monday night, ESPN. They get the best game of the week 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
Last week they had the Patriots in Buffalo, and I feel bad because the weather kind of screwed them on that. It made it for an interesting watch. It was like, wow, Mac Jones threw 3 balls the whole game. They just ran on every play. And it was another interesting case study in Bill Belichick's brain.
Yep.
Man, they should, like, when he dies, just freeze his brain and, like, figure out what's going on.
Analyze it
completely. Like, seriously. For him to come up with a game plan like that and pull it off on the road.
On the road, yeah.
My God. So this week, we get the Rams in Arizona. Another classic. 8-4 against 10-2.
Yeah, I'm really hoping this will be a great game. I mean, I think the last time these two teams met, Arizona kind of just, I don't know if they blew them away, but kind of just got way ahead. And I don't think it was much of a game, was it?
I'm gonna look it up.
Arizona's defense can, if they get Stafford on the defensive and he starts making mistakes, this could turn bad for them real quick. And Arizona's now, like, they got all their people back on offense. They have a good defense, and I'm going to go with them. I'm hoping it'll be a close game. It'll be a good game, but I think Arizona's got too much on their side right now. And the Rams are still trying to juggle around the players that they kind of acquired in the midseason, trying to get them all settled in there.
Yep. They won 30.
I thought they won pretty well.
They won 37-20.
Okay.
Back on October 3rd. Week 4. 10
in LA.
In LA. So, last week the Rams got what they needed. They got Jacksonville.
Right.
But was it what they needed?
No.
Because will it provide them a false sense of security going forward? Because they beat up on the Jags. My guess is that's exactly what happened. I think they're going to go to Arizona this week. And D-Hop and Murray are back. And do you see that catch D-Hop had in the corner there?
That was
the footwork. That guy's awesome.
He's awesome.
There's a lot of great receivers, but he still might be the best one. It's tough to say, but he's really good. And he's just got this thing with Kyler Murray. So, you're right. I think the Rams, Matthew Stafford, when the going gets tough, he starts making mistakes. And I'm expecting.
And he still hasn't overcome that. We haven't seen him.
And the Rams still don't really have much of a running game at all, which keeps them very one-dimensional. So, and they won't have OBJ. Not that it matters, but they won't have him. So I think
that might help.
That might help. So I don't know. You're right. I got the Cardinals at home. I can't see the Rams beating the Rams. Suddenly look very, very mortal to me. So
that's a very similar, a very common theme these days with the NFL. These last couple.
Well, they
weeks.
haven't beat a quality opponent in 4 or 5 weeks. They beat the Jaguars in that stretch, and that's it.
What I mean is there's quite a few teams that we thought were like clear above, and they seem very mortal too. The aforementioned Buffalo and the Cowboys and things like that.
Even the Chiefs.
Yeah. I mean, if the Rams win this game, this will be what the game that they needed, that they need to get right the rest of the year.
This is the one. Go prove it. This is their proof game. Yeah. Throw the Ravens in that weird thing too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Baltimore, But I think with Baltimore, though, having 16, now 17 starters with Humphreys going down, having all those guys out has caught up to them. They've done a great job getting this far, but I think it's starting to show. So, well, that's it for our picks this week. I trail you by 6. So we have a couple different. We'll see.
It'll be like happens. 4 after this week, and then we'll crunch time. We'll get.
God, I can't keep falling behind, man. I'm running out of time. We're only 4 weeks after this.
Damn Jets.
Damn Jets. Thanks a lot, Jets. You too, Jacksonville. The one time I picked them, they did the same thing.
Oh, that's right.
So we'd love to know what you guys pick. So send them in. Leave them in the comments below. You can catch us on the socials. I'll point over that way. No, I'm so bad at this. There. Whoops, I just had it. Right there. The socials at GeekTimeNet. And we're also right here on Rumble. Our whole catalog's been mirrored over there. I'm still trying to figure out how to sort the videos out, though, because it all landed in one channel. I made 3.
It's one channel, yep.
But you know what's amazing about Rumble? They're all instantly monetized.
Are they? I got to look into that.
They are. They are. So if we can move our YouTube audience over there instead. Because not happening for us here yet.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Any last thoughts?
It's just continue with the craziness. I mean, I know it hurts our pick record, but it wouldn't be a week of the NFL without some kind of crazy thing. Even that Buffalo New England game, which the results weren't crazy, but the way the game was played, I can't wait to see what we got next.
And we're getting into that part of the year with bad weather.
Yep, and that brings a whole new randomness.
That brings a whole new. In fact, now that we're in December, and you brought it up a few weeks ago, we should maybe chart these outside games. Look at the weather,
right? Yeah,
and see what that's supposed to be about. We'll definitely watch the weather in the playoffs because that's a huge factor.
Yeah,
in the playoffs, which is why you want home field advantage, right?
Right.
So, all right, I guess that's it for me. Good luck with your picks, and we'll catch the rest of you guys next week. Right here. Wherever here is.
Yeah, wherever here is.
Bye. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up below. Also, please subscribe to GeekTime TV. It really helps us grow the channel. And make sure you hit that bell icon in order to receive notifications every time we drop new content here. You can also check us out on social media on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at GeekTimeNet. Thanks again for watching. We will see you soon.
Say, kids, what time is that?